Good morning, boys and girls. Happy to see you guys today. Good morning, good morning. So in our continuing unit and continuing conversation about animal adaptations, we're going to try something a little bit different today. We're going to, at the end of our lesson today, we're going to have the same amount of knowledge that we want to learn as we take a look at the next animal. I know yesterday you kind of ended with octopus and the whole body of the animal and the different features of that whole body that serve as a tool for adaptation to help that animal survive. So in your close reading companion book, if you would open to kind of where we left off yesterday, the key details, you guys already filled out your octopus portion. Today we're going to be talking about penguins, okay? But instead of reading through our textbook to find and discover the different whole body parts and the elements of the body of the penguin that serve as an adaptation for survival, we're going to do something I hope that's kind of fun. Some of you have probably heard of or used a tool before called a KWL chart, which stands for what do I want to know, or excuse me, what do I already know? What do I want to learn? And then what did I learn? So, and I've got something that I want to share with you guys. I'm going to minimize this. And can you guys see my screen?
No.
I need to share that. Okay.
I can see. I can't see.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Are you talking about the screen?
I'm talking about I have a penguins slide for us here.
No.
Okay, hang on just a second.
No.
Down at the bottom, just hit screen share. It should be green. It's green.
No? Shoot.
Okay, yeah, go to your, click on that.
Here we go.
There.
That's
Okay,
what I
now
want. I
click
should
on the
click
green.
on that, and then,
Which I just always hit that.
okay.
And then then go to your tab. There.
Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry guys. All right,
I only select screen. Yeah, I can see it.
okay. And then we're going to use the chat feature a little bit today. So, and for now, boys and girls, whatever you type in the chat is going to come to Mr. Keener privately, and that's purposeful. That's for a specific reason. Paulina got kicked out and she's just coming back in. Okay, so hopefully some of you guys have had some penguin encounters already in your life. Maybe you've already been to a place like SeaWorld where you can see penguins up close in not their natural habitat, but they usually have a nice climate-controlled, cool area for penguins to live in, so that people can see them and interact with them. There's a really cool exhibit at SeaWorld. If you've ever been there and gotten to do that, that's pretty neat. So I want you to type in the chat right now what you think you already know as a fact about penguins that you think is a body an adaptation that helps them for survival. So go ahead and type into the chat something that you already know. Tartar has answered. That's fantastic. And that is a true statement, Tartar. Great. Thank you, Shay. Wow, great, Bailey. And I'll share these. I'll share these at the end. So keep on typing. Great, Morgan.
Can we type in more than one response?
Sure. Good, Andy. Good, Zane. And I am going to begin typing in our KWL chart. Good, Bailey. Some of the things that have come into the chat, okay? So I've seen more than one person talk about the fact that they have blubber. I see wings for swimming. Somebody said they eat fish. That's great. Okay. Fast swimmers. And I'm going to put a little, somebody talked about spend lots of time in the water. Great. Shay mentioned something about how they feed their babies. Great. Zane typed in, they cannot fly. Not very many birds that fit into that category. Okay, Bailey also mentioned something very specific about their color, which is going to be, I think, an important feature that we're going to be talking about in terms of, again, a feature or a tool that they use for survival. So you guys have put in some, oh, and then Michaela wrote something specific about their special beak. Excellent. Mila put something about yellow on their head. And I don't think that that is all penguins, but that's certainly their coloring on certain types of penguins. Who wrote that? Let's see. Somebody wrote that they can, oh, Zane. This will be the last one because I'm running out of room. They can slide on ice. So how they move around. And good, Cam, that is correct. There are different types of penguins. Okay? Now, the next part of our chart, we talk about what is it that you want to know. Maybe there's, maybe you have a question about a penguin, that maybe you've even seen a penguin's behavior. Maybe you've seen a video, or maybe you've seen them up close in person, and something sparks some curiosity. A question that you want to know. So Tartar has a question about their diet. So why do they eat fish? Is a question that Tartar has. And we're not going to answer those yet, but these are just, they're questions that we're going to put out there into our KWL chart. Oh, that's a great question. Aiden wants to know, do they have teeth? Great. Somebody else. Aiden R. Is there a king penguin? Is there a king penguin? You're like something that... Hey, Aiden, can you unmute and ask that question out loud to me?
What I mean is like, is there a thing they mostly care about? Like, do they have like somebody like they really just pay more attention to? Not just like, not like somebody that's like better than them at like maybe swimming or something like that. That like could maybe like him like most. And then like that's what I mean. Like, do we have like a king penguin that like they mostly follow and they mostly like?
Oh, is there a leader?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Like, we call that, like, is there an alpha male? Usually in the animal world, it's a male. Is there an alpha male? So do they have a leader? How about that? That's a great question. Somebody asked, do they have a tongue? That's a great question, Aiden L. Can they build things? Like a habitat? Like maybe, like where do they live? How do penguins swim in the freezing water? Great questions. You guys are asking great questions. I can hardly keep up. You're doing such a great job. Let me look at a few. Why do they, I put one too many E's in there. Why do they waddle? That's a great question. Let's see what else. What types of fish? I'm going to put up here / types of fish. If they can build things, do they have a tongue? How do they sleep? That's a great question. So I want you to be thinking more specifically, and we've had some great questions here, but more specifically about just the features of their whole body that might be tools for survival. Oh, Mason, you're hilarious. Can they do yoga? Oh, great, Michaela. Michaela has a great question. Why do the dads cover the eggs? All right, we could go on and on and on. You guys have some amazing questions. I'm running out of room, so I'm just gonna read the rest of these questions out loud for you guys, and just keep these in the back of your head. So, do penguins fight with different penguins? Do penguins have nails? Do they sleep in a group? Can they jump? What do you call a group of penguins? That's a great question, Zane. Excellent. All great questions. Okay, so boys and girls, I've got 2 videos to share with you. One is kind of geared more towards 3rd graders. It's animated. I think it's going to have some interesting facts about tools for survival, their whole body features, and the things that are specific to penguins and how those features aid in survival. And then the second video is going to give you some real action of penguins in their natural habitat, and that video is a little bit more like documentary style almost. But the point of both of these videos is I want you now to see if any of your questions that you had are answered in either of these 2 videos, okay? And we're going to have time to actually watch both of these videos a second time, because the third part of our KWL chart is what did you learn? So maybe there's some new information in these videos that are facts that were different from even any question that you had. And so maybe we can learn something new about a body adaptation for survival. So let me click on this link right here, and I want to make sure that you guys can see it. All right?
Mr. Keener.
Yes.
I have a guess answer to why do penguins waddle.
Do ya? Okay. What do you think?
So I'm guessing why do penguins waddle is because they don't have like feathers on their feet, so their feet are probably cold and they waddle because they're cold or something.
That could be. That could absolutely be the case.
I know why they waddle. Because they have eggs in there.
So let's find out. All right, here comes the first video. Here we go.
Oh, it's so cold today. I want to go outside and I want to play in the snow.
Even I want to play. With these warm clothes, I feel we have adapted ourselves for the weather outside.
Adapted? What do you mean by adapted?
Oh, adapted means that we have changed ourselves for a new condition. It is cold outside, so we are wearing jackets and caps. So now we have adjusted ourselves to the cold conditions.
But look at this penguin. It is not wearing any jacket. How does it adapt in such a cold weather on the ice glaciers?
A genius question. Penguins do not need to wear jackets. Ice glaciers are their natural home. Animal bodies are adapted to their natural home.
Polar animals?
Penguins live near the Antarctic region. It is extremely cold here, and the water temperature never rises above freezing point. Penguins have to keep high body temperature to remain active. The dark-colored feathers on their backs absorb heat from the sun, which helps keep them warm. They also have thick skin and lots of fat called blubber under their skin. Penguins have webbed feet for powerful swimming. Their wings are shaped like flippers, which help them to swim at speeds up to 15 meters per hour.
So I'm going to stop it right there. We learned a few things right there that touched on some of the questions that you guys had. So one thing I found fascinating, and now I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned, looking back up here, Bailey mentioned about their color. their black and white color. If you remember when Mr. Keener talked about fish and how many fish are lightly colored on their underbellies and darker colored from the top, that is a feature not only in fish, but here in penguins that can help for survival in a couple of different ways. So if you look down into the ocean from the top, if you see a dark colored back of a fish or in this case a penguin, that's going to help hide them from potential predators. And then if a predator is looking up at a penguin that is swimming through the ocean and their underbelly is lightly colored, that light colored blends in with the sun rays that are coming through and shining through the top surface of the ocean to also help them hide from predators. But also, the video just told us that the black covering helps to absorb heat. If you've ever worn a black top or a shirt or a jacket on a sunny day, that black covering for yourself absorbs more heat and it can warm your body up. That's why a lot of times on a cold day, Mr. Keener has a really big black, almost a snow jacket, and that black color will help to keep me warmer. So it serves as a similar purpose for a penguin. Yes, Shay, that's exactly right. So Shay just said the dark colored feathers on their backs keep them warm by absorbing heat. That is exactly right. You guys already, something that you wrote that you knew about penguins, something you already knew is that penguins cannot fly. And so their wings, here we see in the video, are shaped like flippers. And so instead of using those wings to fly, they can't fly. The shape of those wings help them swim much faster. And then there's also a feature about their webbed feet as well. So we're learning some great stuff and answering some of our questions. Let's continue. There's just about, there's only about 30 seconds left of the video.
Wow, animals are so lucky. They have so many features in their body which helps them to survive in their habitats. And they don't need to wear jackets.
Yeah, really? Tell me, what extra feature do you want in your body?
Oh, I wanted to have wings like birds so that I could fly to school every day.
All right, so they wrapped up that video without too much more information about the penguins, but nevertheless, a really cool video. So I think we learned a few things, or we might have even confirmed a few things that we already knew on the far left portion of our KWL chart. We might have just confirmed some things that we already thought we knew. Let's take a look at this second video and see. Aiden R. Great point. I want to mention to everybody what Aiden typed to me in the chat. So he talked about the white also helps them camouflage in the snow. And that is true statement, because think about, I know in particular, there's one other animal that we've talked about over the last week or two. Remember the polar bear. So the polar bear is a natural predator of penguins. So the white of their bellies could also serve as a feature that helps them hide from their natural predators. So great job, Aiden, for bringing that to our attention. Let's take a look at this second video.
Did you know they're called vacation?
Today we're looking at penguins and how they keep warm through the Antarctic winters.
Penguins have evolved to become incredible swimmers in the icy waters, but they're not so good on land. Their wings have adapted to become flippers. Great for swimming, not so good for flying. They're very sociable. This penguin rookery has almost 170,000 birds. That's a lot of penguins. Penguins need to take really good care of their feathers, as they use them to swim and catch fish. If they're really lucky, they might just get some help too. And when the sun shines, there's nothing better than a good old sunbathe to dry out the feathers. Ah, this is the life. So what is it that makes penguin feathers so clever?
Penguins have two types of feathers. They have a thick outer feather, which works like a raincoat, basically.
This keeps the water out, which is good news if you go for a dip.
They also have a thick downy coat underneath their outer layer, and that keeps air trapped inside and keeps them really well insulated, so they can survive the really extreme temperatures in the Antarctic.
You can see them quite clearly on this penguin that's molting. Now let's have a look at the difference between these two feathers. When I take an outer feather and some water, then spray it, you can see clearly that the water beads on the surface, and the other side is still bone dry. That's the penguin's raincoat working. But if I try the same thing with the downy feathers, the water is absorbed and they're soaked through. The penguin solution is to keep the downy layer close to its body and the waterproof layer on the outside, which helps keep them warm and dry.
So as you can see, this is one of the many ways that penguins have adapted to living in the Antarctic weather.
Thanks, little fella.
Okay, cool video. But really that video was kind of specific to talking about their feathers, wasn't it? So, is there anything, I want to know, is there anything that you saw in either of those videos that you caught that answered a question that you had in the middle portion of our KWL chart? Let me bring up, I want to see you guys. Here we go. It's a little bit challenging sometimes when I have too many windows opened up at the same time. So instead of everyone chiming in at the same time, if you have a question that you got, if there was something in the video that was an answer to a question that you had, I want to know. Is there any? Raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Is there something, Bailey? What was something that was a question that got answered for you?
The question that got answered was, how do they swim in the freezing water?
Okay, so what did you learn?
And how they swim in the freezing water, I learned that their wings are shaped like flippers.
Yes.
And the underlayer of their feathers keeps them warm.
Excellent.
And the outer layer is like a swimsuit kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Awesome. Anybody else? Is there anybody else that you had you noticed that we had one of our what do I want to know questions that was answered in either of the videos. Shay, what about you?
I was wondering if they ever got cold, but then I learned about that they have actually 2 layers of feathers.
Yes. So that under layer, he called it, in the second video, he called it a downy layer of feathers. That is the layer that helped to keep them warm, right? Excellent. So we saw 2 different kinds of feathers. Each of those feathers serve a unique purpose. Anybody else? Is there anybody else that got noticed that we had one of our questions answered from our what do we want to know? How about, oftentimes, boys and girls, you can have questions answered just by a visual. So I know one of the questions we had is, what's up with this, right? Why do they waddle? Was there something that you saw from particularly the second video that might answer that question for you, even though they didn't really say it out loud? Paulina, what do you think?
I think that's because they have eggs and they have to kind of walk.
Okay, so I think that could be a factor for sure. How they carry their eggs. They might waddle because it helps the egg stay secure. I was thinking of maybe something else. Is there anybody else that might have a different idea of why you think they might waddle that you recognized just by watching them move around in the second video? Bailey, what do you think?
I think it's because you know how the top layer of feathers keeps water away from the underlayer.
Right.
I think since they go in the water a lot, water stays on those feathers.
Okay.
And it's really heavy because water, when you have a lot of water, sometimes it can be heavy.
I think that's a...
They have to waddle to move.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Water is so heavy.
Okay. All right, that's an interesting idea. Anybody else?
I think I know why.
Who's talking?
Andy?
Yeah, go for it, bud.
It's because of the landscape. Even though in the second video there is no ice, they still do waddle on the ice because they don't slip from apex predators such as a polar bear.
Okay. Great idea.
Oh,
go ahead.
And in the second video there is no ice, but they still have to be careful of the landscape of rocks and other landscapes.
Rough terrain might be difficult for them to navigate their way over the rough terrain. So think about this. I have maybe even a different idea. Did you notice that they really don't have legs? Their feet are like this, and then their body like begins right where their feet end. So if they can't take long steps like humans, right? Their feet are literally like right next to each other without really any legs. So they might be waddling because they can't really take long steps. I think another possible reason is they're kind of oddly shaped birds, aren't they? They're almost shaped like a big, tall egg. And so they're a little bit top heavy, so they might just have to waddle because of the way that their bodies are shaped. I think those are two factors that might be a part of the reason why. What do you guys think? Yeah? Bailey, what's up?
I just wanted to say, sweet penguins, they either look like an oval or pear to me.
Yes, I would
Or
agree.
mango.
I would agree with that. All right. So, is there any, instead of going back, because I think, the videos were very short. I think we extracted all of the information out of those videos that we could. So now let's go back to our chart. And let's type in, what did we learn? What did we learn? I'm having a difficult time keeping you guys up and our chart. So I see three of you have your hands raised. I guess I'll just have to do it this way. So Aiden R, did you find something that you learned? And again, specifically, boys and girls, I'm interested in knowing what you learned that is a body unique feature that aids in their survival. That's still what we're on here in our animal adaptations unit. So features of the penguin that aid in their survival that are unique body coverings. Aiden R, what do you think? What did you learn?
I learned that penguins that covering helps them water.
Your audio, bud, is pretty glitchy. I couldn't quite hear. Try it once again with your video off.
What I learned is that penguins, their black covering helps them get hotter with the sun.
So the color of their body covering. Excellent. I love that. So let me type that in our chart. So body covering, or I should say body color helps to keep them warm. And then we also talked about how those same colors aid in, what's that big C word that we've talked about for disguising? Think about, yes, camouflage. And camouflage them from predators. Whoops.
Why not apex predators?
I forgot my L in there. Okay, so body color helps to keep them warm and camouflage them from predators. Thank you, Aiden. That's excellent. Who else has something else that they learned? What was it? A new thing that you learned? Paulina, what's something new that you learned?
I learned that penguins have warm feathers on the feathers that they have outside.
Okay, excellent. So two different, specifically different feathers, right? So the underlayer, we'll say two types of feathers. Aid in keeping them both warm and dry, right? Warm and dry. Okay, anybody else? Something new that you learned that is a body feature that aids in their survival.
They have two coats.
So that's what we just mentioned. So we have that top layer of feathers that is really almost waterproof, and then the downy layer, which is the underneath layer, is the layer that helps to keep them warm, not necessarily dry. Wasn't that cool with the water bottle squirting? So that water on each of the different types of feathers, the water reacted very different, didn't it? Anyone else on something new that you learned? And boys and girls, you can take what Mr. Keener is typing on that far right hand side of our KWL chart, and that's the information that you can take and write into your close read companion packet under the penguin. Those are the key details that support our main idea of what about the penguin's whole body, tools, the covering that aid in its survival. So Eden wrote down they sleep by huddling. That's a great point. So I want to talk about that really quickly, Eden, because that's a fantastic feature that serves multiple purposes. Why do you guys think that sleeping by huddling together would aid in their survival?
One can wake up and wake the others.
Okay, for what reason?
It's predators.
Excellent. So, if you guys have ever heard of the phrase, there's strength in numbers. So when there are literally in some cases hundreds of thousands of penguins all hanging out together on the same beach, their chances for survival are greater when they stay together as one big herd, right? And I don't know if that's one question we didn't get answered, is what do you call a huge group of penguins? Maybe you guys, somebody could look that up for us. And then the second thing that what might aid in their survival when they huddle together, what happens when you huddle close to someone?
You can feel warm and safe.
Great. Excellent. So let's put that on our KWL chart. So huddling together keeps them warm and safer. I can't say all the way safe, but safer from predators. Excellent, excellent point. Something new that we learned. Great. Anybody else have something new that they learned? A feature for survival. So some questions that maybe didn't get answered in our videos that maybe you want to do some additional research is the types of fish that they eat. Guess what? We got this question answered, didn't we? Did you guys see there at the very end of the video, there was a penguin there that was digging, right? So that might be a little den or something that they can hide in, or again, someplace where they can stay warm. So these are the things that I want you guys to be writing down in your close read activity book. Features for survival. Hang on, I see somebody type something into the chat. Let me get to the chat. I hear Miss Dara, our New York connection. Why can't I get to? I feel like I need 6 screens.
Yes, I know, it's true.
Wings to swim, sleeping by huddling, 2 coats of feathers, and how that helps to keep them warm and dry. The colors, both the white and the black, help with camouflage, as well as we learned that the black, when they're standing out in the sun, that black can absorb the heat to help keep them warm. Excellent. You guys came up with some great stuff here. So if you can use what we've written down on our KWL chart to fill in your close read companion. So Mila, you're talking about, so I'm talking about this page right here. Your close read companion book, that where we left off yesterday with octopus, right beneath it is that spot for penguins. Is that what you were asking, Mila?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to take what did I learn, and then also we can take what we already know. So they have a special beak. We didn't really talk about that, but that aids in survival because it's a specific type of beak that help them catch fish. They spend a lot of time in the water. The blubber is something that you guys already knew. Remember the blubber? We're talking about types of cold that we as humans, most of us have never even felt before. It's that cold. It's like below freezing, oftentimes, is where they spend all of their time. Okay? Any other questions before I close?
What page do we on our close companion?
What's that, Andy?
What page do we write it on our close reading companion book?
So it's page 14. Yesterday we left off with talking about the octopus. So right underneath the octopus is the spot for penguins. And then Michaela, I saw you had your hand raised. Did you have a question?
No.
Bailey has a question or a comment.
I have a comment about one type of penguin.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it was the type of penguin that was in the second video. And I have a map at here so I can of course type of penguin look. One type of penguin that I saw in the second video, I see it all the way at the bottom of South America.
Oh, very interesting.
Back there.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Guys, I think we came up with some really great information that help us better understand the specific features of a penguin's body that help to aid in their survival. Remember, some of the key features of an animal's ability to survive have to do with their body coverings for camouflage, the different tools that are specific to their body types that help them, in this case, are faster swimmers because of their special flippers, their special beaks that help them to more easily catch fish. We talked about their feathers, the types of feathers, 2 different types that help to keep them warm and dry. Their behavior as a species and how they interact with their own kind, how they huddle together for warmth and for protection from predators. All of these features are specific to penguins and features that help to aid in their survival. So I'm really proud of you guys. This was a great activity. I hope it was something a little bit different than what we normally do and something that you enjoyed participating in. Thank you so much for all of the great feedback in the chat room, both typing in things that you already knew and then identifying things that you wanted to know. And so great job. Great job. Maybe we'll do something like this again. All right, I'm going to turn things back over to Mrs. Ray. And how much time do we have left, Mrs. Ray? Just 10 minutes.
So they can actually go early.
Okay.
They've been working hard.
You guys have been working super hard. Thank you again for all of your participation. You guys did great.
Okay, so pretty interesting, huh? Finding